They sent guards to block and disrupt my daughter's wedding, only to end their day and handcuff the most costly mistake that arrogant HOA president ever made. I'm Nathan McAllister, owner of the 20-acre Cedar Ridge Ranch in Texas. When the HOA tried to block my daughter's wedding guests at the gate, they didn't know one thing: the man standing next to me was the county sheriff. The look in her eyes when those cuffs clicked shut? Priceless. She thought she controlled my land. She was wrong. Never mess with a Texan on his own land, especially one who knows the law better than you do. My family has owned Cedar Ridge Ranch for 3 generations. My grandfather bought these acres back in the 1950s when this part of Texas was nothing but wild, open land. I grew up here riding horses, helping my father with cattle, and learning every inch of the soil. After spending 20 years as a real estate attorney in Austin, I retired early when my father passed to take over the ranch. Best decision I ever made. When we moved back, our daughter Claire was still in high school. She fell in love with the land just like I did. She spent hours with the horses and went on to become a large animal vet, respected across the county. When she and her fiancé Ethan decided to marry, there was only one place that made sense: Cedar Ridge, under the ancient oak tree where my family has celebrated milestones for decades. That oak tree is legendary. Over 150 years old, its canopy forms a natural cathedral. My parents married under it, as did my grandparents. When Claire was 8, she swore she'd get married there too. And when Ethan first visited the ranch, I saw how he looked at that tree. He understood. 5 years ago, a developer bought the tract of land east of ours and built a subdivision, Willow Heights. The only road to our ranch cuts through their community. But I made sure to get a legal easement. As a former real estate attorney, I dotted every I and crossed every T. It was recorded and filed with the county. No question about it to had right of passage. Things were fine at first. The original HOA board was neighborly. They'd wave as we passed and even joined our July 4th barbecues. But then Elise Carrington was elected HOA president and everything changed. Elise was known for being rigid, controlling, and obsessed with appearances. She had a fake smile, sharp suits, and a clipboard always in hand. Her first words to me were, "We're concerned about property values, Mr. McAllister." She didn't care about my daughter's wedding, my legal easement, or the decades of history. She only cared about control. I attended an HOA meeting to notify them about the wedding and the traffic it would bring. Elise smiled but gave me a cold warning. It was clear she wasn't pleased, despite the documentation I provided. Behind the plastic smile, she was already plotting to sabotage the most important day of our family's life. Elise had moved to Willow Heights after a bitter divorce, reinventing herself as the queen of the subdivision. She measured grass with rulers, took photos of Halloween decorations, and issued violation notices like confetti. She replaced block parties with approved beautification projects and turned the HOA into her personal kingdom. I didn't realize how far she was willing to go until she started harassing us. First, it was a complaint about my tractor near the property line. Then she claimed our livestock was too loud. When the wedding setup began, she demanded that every vendor register with the HOA. I stood firm each time. My easement was legally sound. Stephanie Lee, the HOA secretary and a kind-hearted teacher, quietly kept me informed. 2 weeks before the wedding, she warned me that Elise was calling a security company. I knew trouble was brewing. Sure enough, the next day, I received a letter from a supposed legal rep, really her cousin fresh out of law school, threatening to block access to the ranch for safety concerns. My daughter was in tears. Her fiancé Ethan, calm and methodical, held her and said, "We'll fix this." He was the kind of man any father would want for his daughter: decent, respectful, grounded. I called my old friend and top-notch attorney, Mark Reyes. After reviewing everything, he confirmed I was 100% in the right. We drafted a formal warning to the HOA: back off or we'll sue. Then I called another friend, Sheriff Adam Walker. Adam and I served in the Army together before I went into law and he into law enforcement. When I explained the situation, he said, "Want me to be Ethan's best man? That way I can be there in uniform." I took him up on it. Days before the wedding, we learned Elise had hired Apex Security, run by Russell Kane, a disgraced former deputy with a history of misconduct. Russell's reputation was ugly. He and Elise made a perfect pair. Our plan was clear. Stay calm, document everything, and let Elise walk right into her own trap. On the morning of the wedding, Claire was radiant. The oak tree was decorated in wildflowers and fairy lights. But at the entrance to Willow Heights, barricades had been set up. Signs read, "Private road. Residents only. Maintenance in progress." Elise and Russell were there, along with a team of guards with cameras. She was playing it up, hoping to provoke us into a confrontation for her campaign materials. She hadn't counted on Adam. At 9 a.m., with a growing line of confused guests behind us, 3 sheriff's vehicles rolled up. Adam stepped out, full uniform, badge gleaming. "Ms. Carrington," he said, "you are unlawfully blocking a legal easement. Remove these barricades immediately or face arrest." She tried to argue, but Adam shut her down. "You have no permits and your hired security is operating without a valid license. One more word and you're going in cuffs." Just then, a local news van arrived. Reporter Alicia Santos began filming. Elise panicked. Moments later, one of our cows wandered into frame and mooed loudly as Russell shouted at deputies. He pushed one and that was it. He was on the ground in cuffs, Elise screeching in disbelief. The video went viral. The wedding? Perfect. Claire and Ethan said their vows under the oak tree as the sun set. The reception was filled with laughter, music, and dancing. And Elise? She was busy spinning lies. She sent a community-wide email claiming we had abused our power and endangered the neighborhood. But residents were done with her. They called for a vote. She was removed 49-1. She was later sued by the HOA for misuse of funds and banned from leadership for a decade. Russell Kane lost his license permanently and was charged with assaulting an officer. A year later, the community dedicated the road between our properties as Unity Lane. Claire and Ethan welcomed their first child. And the infamous cow, now named Liberty, became a local celebrity. As for Elise, last we heard, she was managing a department store in another state, still trying to join another HOA but always getting rejected. Never underestimate a Texas father who loves his daughter and knows the law, especially when his best man is the sheriff.